Today was a big day at India's Supreme Court. An important case was on the docket, the case of Kashmir and Article 370. The case was made up of around 23 petitions. They dealt with a lot of complicated issues and questions, but the most important one was this: was abrogating Article 370 constitutional or not? That was the question. 5 judges were part of this bench, and all of them said yes, abrogating Article 370 was constitutional. It did not violate Indian laws or the Indian Constitution. Listen to what the Chief Justice said.
Article 370 is a temporary provision on a reading of the historical context in which it was included. The state of Jammu and Kashmir does not have internal sovereignty which is distinguishable from the powers and privileges enjoyed by other states in the country.
Now for some background. Article 370 was part of the Indian Constitution. It gave special powers to Jammu and Kashmir, like which laws would apply there and so on. They had special powers, but in 2019, the central government abrogated it. They said no more special powers. Also, Jammu and Kashmir was split up. One state was divided into 2 union territories, Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. These were the 2 union territories. Now, critics say this move was unconstitutional, which is why they approached the Supreme Court of India. And today the court gave the verdict. They said the move was legal. The abrogation of Article 370, the division of the state into union territories, it was all legal. This verdict was based on 2 basic facts. Number 1, Article 370 or special powers was temporary. It was not meant to last forever. And number 2, Jammu and Kashmir does not have sovereignty of its own. Yes, it had a special agreement, but that agreement did not mean any sort of sovereignty. Hence, removing Article 370 was constitutional. That's what the court said. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has praised the verdict. He called it a declaration of hope and progress. What about the political parties in Kashmir? They've expressed disappointment. Most of them said the fight will continue. The fight for statehood and for special powers. They'll keep pushing for it. But tonight, we do not want to dwell on the politics. I'm sure you've seen and heard enough of it. Tonight, we're looking at Kashmir's journey since 2019, the good and the bad. Let's look at the economy first. In 2019, Jammu and Kashmir's economic output was 1 lakh crore rupees. And now, it is more than 2,27,000 crore rupees. So it's more than doubled. The economic survey is predicting another bump. It says the output will double again in 5 years. Same with tourism. Around 18 million tourists visited Jammu and Kashmir in 2022. It was an all-time high, a record. But looks like this year will be even better. Footfall is expected to be 22 million by the end of 2023, by the end of this month. So again, great news. Foreign investments are also trickling in. Earlier this year, the UAE's Emaar Group struck a deal. We're talking about the makers of Burj Khalifa. That's the Emaar Group. They will be investing around 500 crore rupees in Kashmir. The plan is for a shopping mall near Srinagar. It could generate up to 10,000 jobs. So the economy is doing well. What about security? That's always been a big issue in Kashmir. Well, the numbers from the Home Ministry are positive. They've compared 2 periods, from 2016 to 2019 and from 2019 to 2022. And here's what they found. Terror attacks are down 32%. Civilian deaths are down 14%. And deaths of security officers have fallen by 52%. Even stone pelting is down. More than 600 pelting incidents were reported in the first half of 2019. By 2021, it was down to 76, from 600 to 76. So the overall security has improved. But is it perfect? Of course not. Targeted killings have emerged as a problem. Kashmiri Hindus and non-Kashmiris have been targeted. So that issue very much remains. And so does the question of elections. Jammu and Kashmir's last legislative elections were held in 2014. It's been nearly a decade. There is talk of an election next year, but no dates have been set, which is why the Supreme Court waded in today. They've issued a directive to the Election Commission of India, hold elections by the end of September 2024. Hold elections by then. They also had a directive for the central government, restore Kashmir's statehood soon. And that was the promise made in 2019, that the post-abrogation period would be used to do important work on security, on the economy, on the politics, all of it. But after that, statehood would be restored. So the top court wants the government to follow through, to do what they said they would. Now, this judgment will be talked about in the future. Lawyers will quote it. Political parties will campaign on it. It will be discussed threadbare. But it's important to remember one thing. This verdict is not the end. It's just one part of Kashmir's long and rich history. The end would be a prosperous and safe Kashmir, one that was promised in 1947 and again in 2019.